All right, so here's the oral cavity, and then the maxillary teeth and the mandibular teeth. And then 3 is supposed to be the tongue, but it doesn't really show the fibers in here, but that's where the tongue would be. 4 is a parotid gland. That's one of the salivary glands. And the ear would be right here, so it's just in front of and below the ear. And then these 2 are together. This is the submandibular and the sublingual salivary glands. So you can't really tell which is which. These are just other salivary glands. This is the pharynx. Let's see what they labeled it. Yeah, just pharynx. So this would be the tube that would actually go up here behind the nose as well. This is the oropharynx, this section. And then the laryngopharynx would be here. And then it goes down into the esophagus. And the esophagus is the muscular tube that goes from there, the laryngopharynx, down into the stomach. And here's where the diaphragm is. So as soon as this tube goes through the diaphragm, it changes names, and now it's called the stomach. And this stomach, this part of the tube, definitely enlarges, right? Doesn't look anywhere near like this skinny tube anymore. This is a J-shaped pouch. Yep, just stomach, okay? And then we're going to go down to the duodenum, or the small intestine. You can't really tell where that is. This is where it first starts. And the pancreas, this yellow, lumpy-looking organ behind the stomach, always in relationship to the stomach, empties its stuff through this pancreatic duct into the duodenum. And the liver and the gallbladder put bile into their ducts, and that actually also joins with the pancreatic duct and enters into the small intestine. And then the small intestine is all this mess in the middle. And so this is the duodenum, the first 12 inches, and the jejunum and the ileum, but you can't really tell which is which down here. Now, eventually this ends and goes into the large intestine right here. So the divider between the small intestine and the large intestine is an extra thick band of muscle called the ileocecal sphincter, or the ileocecal valve. And it's just a tight area so that we can hold that food in the small intestine. And it's not really called food at that point. Here it's called chyme. So here it's still called chyme, and we can absorb whatever we need to, because the small intestine is really all about absorption. And then when it goes into the large intestine, this first part is called the cecum, and hanging off of that is the appendix. Looks like a little tail. And then we go up on the right-hand side, so this is the ascending colon, across the transverse colon. This poor guy's got a little bit of a cut here. And then down the left side, this is the descending colon. Nobody poops from the left side, so we have to get it back to the middle, so that would be the sigmoid colon. Usually it's real S-shaped, but you can't see that here because it would be behind the small intestines. And then it's going to go straight out, and that part is the rectum, and then right at the very end is called the anus. Now here's a bigger picture of the stomach and some of its different parts. It shows you the 3 different directions of muscles. Here's the circular muscles, here's the longitudinal muscles, and then here's the oblique muscles. So it has 3 different layers instead of the rest of the tube, which just has 2. The inside of the stomach has got these ripples called rugae. And the smaller side, the concave side, this is called the lesser curve. And the big side, the convex side, this is called the greater curve. And so here it is emptying into the small intestine, the first part called the duodenum. And each of these rings, this kind of bunch of tissue, so you can see that bump right there, that's a plica circularis. So that's this bump is shown here as this bump. So this whole thing is the plica circularis. And if you look real close, it's made up of a whole bunch of these little bitty fingers. And in each of these fingers, we have this red and green and blue lines. And this is one finger. So a finger is a villi. And the red and blue and green lines are the arterioles, the venules, and the lacteals, which are the lymph capillaries. And then we have blood capillaries up in here, because this is where everything gets absorbed, and that's what they get absorbed into. The sugar and the protein goes in the blood, The fat goes in the lacteal.
Cool.
Okay?